Here we go, Dragon versus Leela Chess 0. This one is a bullet game. It's 2 minutes and 1 second increment. Not real bullet, but definitely fast chess here. Let's take a look at what we got here. Okay, so Dragon playing white against Leela Chess 0. E4, C5. We got some Sicilian action. You know it's going to be dynamic. And then after C5, there's Knight F3, and then E6. Maybe a timing off Sicilian, or maybe some type of French transposition as well. Let's see. D4. C takes D4, Knight takes D4, and Knight C6, going into a timing off Sicilian after Knight to C3 and D6. So the D6 variations here. Now, after this D6, you do have many moves you can make. Bishop E3, Bishop E2, Bishop C4, F4, G4, right? These are all moves. You can also take on C6, which is not the greatest. So if you are watching this, do not take this knight on C6, at least not now. Usually in variations, there will be knight takes C6, but here is not the greatest by far. Here's the move. In fact, are you ready for it? G4 for the score. I hope you was ready today. Oh yeah, G4. This is called the carries attack. G4 is very, very aggressive. And for aggressive players, if you like aggression in this kind of play, G4 is going to definitely appeal to you. The idea here is to just be annoying for this knight of 6 thing. So G5 happens. You get an easy attack, especially for people that castle to the king side. And the G pawn is definitely going to help you with that. So A6, okay, from Leela Chess 0, stopping bishop B5 actions, and of course also preparing B5. Myself, because I want to my own counterplay, says black. Bishop to E3, nice development. Knight G to E7, and then F4, Freddie, Eric from Chess.com pawn, Frank the pawn, and then we have Gary the pawn, the G pawn, right? So everybody's ready to move here. Sometimes we even push Harry, the H pawn. So all 4 of these pawns are up here like this many times in these type of positions. Pretty fun to play, I will tell you. Knight takes D4, queen takes, and then Leela Chess 0 says, you're not going to attack me like this on national television in front of everybody. So in fact, Leela Chess 0 plays a move like this, which is really strong. First move on the engine because it's an engine. Okay, so E5. E5 was the move here, attacking the pawn and the queen at the same time. But can't I just take the pawn? Well, I can. Are you going to take the pawn? That's a question for you to answer. Do you take this pawn or not? Well, let's see what happens if you capture it. After pawn takes E5, well, there's 2 moves that actually can happen. In fact, bishop takes G4 is the first move, getting rid of Gary. Or I can play knight to C6, which is a really cool move, attacking your queen and the pawn at the same time, forcing you to move. And now Eric and Frank and Gary that you had up here, well, you only going to have one of them, or maybe almost 2 for now with one pending, right? Because G4 is hanging as well. So after I move the queen, for instance, well, I'll take on G4, right? Or even E5. Either or actually works, but I'll take on G4. And then if you take on D6, well, then now you're only left with like Eric from Chess.com here, which is, and you might have some problems here in this situation in particular, especially 95, knight F3. Like, what happened to the G pawn? Bishops are out. What is this? What are those? Right? So this is not good. This is not good. Okay, E5. So after E5, instead of taking the pawn, Dragon chooses Queen A4 check, which is totally logical. Black develops another piece, and then we move our queen to B3. Okay. E takes F4 happens from Leela Chess 0. Bishop takes F4, putting some pressure on the D pawn. It can be captured. So Leela Chess 0 says, okay, my pawn can be captured. Take it. Take it. Take the pawn. Yeah. Take it. Go ahead. Take the pawn. It's a pawn, right? Take it. Take the pawn. Take it. And of course, Dragon didn't take the pawn. But after bishop takes D6, I had to look at this because I was like, I would have grabbed this pawn. I just got to see what happens, right? So after bishop takes, what do you think the first move is here? First move is actually quite simple. Bishop to E6 is the move attacking the queen. And engine gives bishop takes B5 afterwards. And I was like, bishop takes B5. Why would we do this when you can just defend the bishop with queen A4, queen B4, or queen A3? Queen B4 actually runs into knight C6, which it loses on the spot. Double attack on the queen and the bishop, right? Like this, with the bishop and the queen. So instead, queen A3 was what I looked at. But then even still, here's a move. Knight D5. Oh my goodness, this didn't happen. But this is just crazy to show. I was like, what? How is this? Well, what if I take it, right? Bishop takes F8 and then queen H4 check. And I'm like, this is amazing. Now, this is crazy. This is nonsense. Of course, you see these in Sicilians anyway. But man, like, who's attacking who now, right? This is strange. So after bishop takes D6, in fact, that did not happen. After B5, Dragon was like, okay, cool. I know, Leela. I know you like to sack these little pieces and stuff, like in pawns. Do whatever you like. G5, right? We're going to go for G5 and we live. Absolutely, G5 there. And after G5, knight G6 attacks the bishop, defending the pawn at the same time here because D6 was hanging. So we move the bishop back to E3 and an H6, right? Lots of moves out. So let's fly through some stuff. Knight to D5, put the knight in the center of the board, makes total sense. With castling queenside as well. And the knight is just a monster on D5 in on the fifth rank into black's territory. Come on now. It's an excellent piece. Bishop goes to C6, attacking, showing I want to get rid of that, and castle queenside. Now, of course, look at the board here. Who would you rather be, white or black here? I know me, I would rather be white, to be honest here, of course, because we have the D file open. I mean, we got the bishops looking great too as well. I feel like I'm definitely pressuring black a lot. Now, of course, here black and the engine's like, yeah, it's okay. It's almost equal, right? And they almost prefer white by almost +1, but still, I mean, it's not as big as an advantage as we would say or think. Castle, H takes G5, and rook to G1. So rook G1 hits the G pawn right here, right? We got it's attacked. We're gonna take it. So after bishop to E7, which is simple, right? Take the bishop on E7 and then take on G5. Perfect, right? This is what we want. This just seems like a blunder. In fact, this is move number 1 on the engine. But Leela Chess Zero played move number 2 on the engine. So what is number 2 on the engine? That's up to you to find. This move is spectacular. I had to like really check this 3 or 4 times just to see. I mean, there's so much goes on with this move. It is really ridiculous. It is actually white to move. What do you do? Okay, guys, here we go. And the move is, in fact, knight takes, instead of knight takes E7, the move actually is H4. What a score. What is this? What is this? What is this, bro? It works in every line. H4, this pawn can be captured 3 separate times. If you ever make a move where something can be captured 3 ways like this, I mean, that's just, wow. When you thought you could do something and then you can't, you know what I mean? Right? So H4, and I'm like, what does this do? Right? So let's look at it. If rook takes H4, this is the easiest one of them because knight takes C7, and this is what the idea was. Pretty simple. If knight takes, all right, let's go back. If knight takes H4, right, you actually have a few moves here. In fact, it's knight takes C7 with a bishop takes G5. You also have a queen C3 after knight takes E7, strange. You have a bishop B6. And you have the number 1 move, which is E5. E5 here. In fact, for me, I actually thought it was something like bishop H3 or, I mean, even bishop B6. But this E5 move I actually completely missed from the engine here. Of course, we always miss stuff from the engine, right? But E5 is a strong move. What the idea here is to just open up everything. We're just literally opening up the lines for our bishops and pieces as this king is still in the center of the board. So it's not good open up. Oh, it's not good for the person in the center when you open up lines. H4, right? And then we didn't look at pawn takes. If pawn takes, this one actually is rook takes G6 and bishop H3 are both. You can do both. Rook takes G6 is move number 2 on the engine, and bishop H3 is number 1, which is just, this one was hard to see in many cases here. It just hits the diagonal. You're also threatening bishop F5 in many cases if you don't want to sacrifice the exchange. But crazy move, guys. I mean, very deep move. H4, and Leela Chess Zero just says, I'm getting rid of this knight. Have a good day. Have a good night. Get rid of this knight. Straight up. Bishop takes D5, queen takes, rook takes H4. Now there's no more knight takes E7. So in this place, black's doing quite fine, right? True. Hey, look, I got the pawn back, rook file open. Yeah, I'm not castle, but so what? Where's your attack? White to move. What do you do? I don't know if you're ready for this one. I don't know if you're ready. The reason why I say that is because of this right here. Oh, whoa, I didn't see it. I didn't know. Rook takes G5. Did you know he was going to do that? Oh, man. Rook takes G5. He just snatched the pawn and said, I can take the pawn. You thought I couldn't? Well, I can. Rook takes G5, and it's live. That's the move right there. That's a big boy move. Now, obviously, bishop takes G5, bishop takes G5 runs into this, right? Which is still fine for black, actually, believe it or not. But after rook takes G5, it was king F8. He says, I don't want no trouble. I don't want no parts in any of that. So, okay, Dragon says, all right, cool. Rook takes G5 and we live. Well, you know what? Rook takes G6 too. Flex real hard with the little engine software and all the pieces it does. And you know what I mean? Like to be all flex real hard kind of stuff from the engine, right? Okay, rook takes G6. It's a move. And he sacks it. It's there. Okay, let's see what happens. F takes G6. Then what do you do? Wow. Oh, cool. Clap it up, right? Oh, you sacked a piece. What do you do? Like usually when you sack, you have an immediate response, but you actually don't here. So this becomes much harder. In fact, white to move, what do you do? Okay, here's the move. In fact, the move is bishop to e2. Bro, what? Bishop e2? Well, you got to develop. Think about that. You have to get this piece off the back rank. Did it move yet? No. So we have to move it. Bishop e2. Rook f1 makes total sense. You're also trying to use the file, maybe e5 in there, bishop f3, all kinds of ideas. Bishop e2, rook c8, e5 with the queen f3 if you capture. So queen c7. Bishop d3 defending the mate. Don't get mated. Come on, it's a family channel. And then d takes e5, and then rook f1 check, right? So rook f1 check. So we got literally like 25 moves left, 25 moves from right now. But we're going to get to the crucial part here in a minute. Bishop f6, and then bishop takes g6. So the bishop's still defending the mate, right? And then rook to c4, putting more pressure on the pawn. You could go c3, but there might be some sacks there. And then pushing? Maybe not, because there's a sack right back. But king to b1 was the move played from Dragon, getting out of the way. Have a nice day. You could take on c2, but that's not the move that was played because there's a rook f6 and bishop h6. Oh my goodness. So, in fact, after king to b1, there was rook to d8 to deal with your queen being here. Your queen is hanging. Okay, it's on you. This is a very critical moment. It's white to move. What do you do in this position? Here it is. Here's the move. In fact, when your queen is hanging, this is a general rule. When your queen is hanging, you sack something. Don't try this at home. Okay. Let's just, if you're a beginner, hey, look, that's not actually the rule. But of course, in here, rook takes f6 is a big boy move from a big engine. Rook takes f6. That's a nasty move, as forces the response of g takes f6. And then bishop h6. These bishops, says Hikaru when he says these knights, right? These bishops here are going crazy. Bishop h6. Oh my goodness. King e7 is forced your king out in the middle of the street. But he's like, wait a second, I can run away. Okay, it looks scary. Where are your rooks, right? I have no rooks. Like, oh my goodness, he has no rooks, right? Because I have none, but I have the bishops. I have bishops. Well, let's see if we can win. Queen f7, king d6, right? King in the middle of the street here. Queen takes f6, king c5, and we live. I'm going to run for the hills and get out of here. And hopefully these bishops do not chop down my whole life. Bishop e3 check. Where are you going, big fella? Rook c to d4. And of course, easy move, c3. Give me the piece back. Give me something. Now I'm going to be able a piece at least. Queen d6, right, moving and trying to trade. White says none of that. Queen g5, and then queen to d5. Queen h4. What a move, right? Putting some pressure on it. Also covering the check. That was a huge check he had to cover. Had to cover that check. Queen to d6. Black is literally just shuffling at this point. Here's a move from white. Bishop to e4. Look at these bishops in the board, on the board. No rooks, but my bishops are killing it. Swiping and slicing the board. Oh my goodness. Look at these bishops, king in the middle of the street. Rook can't move. You only got 2 pieces left. What do you even do? Rook f8. Trying to make something happen. Queen h2, right? A little bit of a maneuvering here. In fact, it was a lot of maneuvering to get to the position we're going to get to in a minute here. C takes d4. Pawn takes. The queens are now attacking each other. But queen to c2 check, which is deadly. Boom. Queen c2, king b6. And then here we go. Y'all ready for it? Here, you know what? This is on you. You tell me what to do. White to move. What do you do in this position right here? You got the bishops. You got the queen. King moves. What do we do here now? Hopefully you did your tactics today for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because the move is bishop takes d4. Oh my goodness. Bishop takes d4. Get the man off the board. Bishop takes d4. After queen takes d4, this is forced, by the way. Of course, I mean, you do have king a5, but king a5 one's into queen d2. I'll actually show you briefly queen d2 here. And then after, oops, sorry, queen d2. After the b4, you have queen g5. Yeah, queen g5. And then if king here, you have bishop c2. You also have b3, bishop b2, right? But this is game over. So no squares left. But after this check, queen takes d4, right? Forcing queen c6 check. If you go back, simple checkmate. Force move, king a5. Cool, all right, cool. Queen c7 check, keep checking. Keep on checking. If king to b4, you have a beautiful mate here, a3. And if king a4, you have bishop c2 check, mate. And if king b3, same thing, bishop c2 or queen c2 is absolutely checkmate. What happens next is queen b6. Now, of course, this is easy. This one's an easy one, okay? I don't care what your rating is. You can find this one. You can definitely Pause the video. Of course, checks, captures, threats is what you should be looking for in positions similar to this one. In fact, in every position, checks, captures, and threats. This one is no different. White to move. What do you do? Here it is, the finale, right? This is finished. I mean, it's an easy finish. B4 check, get him off the board. And after king takes B4, we take on B6. We're up, and this is just clockwork from here. It's just the rest is precision. The rest is a matter of time. And checkmate on the board there. Beautiful. Of course, this is a bullet game, 2 minutes, 1 second increment. Those bishops, these bishops, that bishop. Wow. I mean, what a bishop display from Dragon. That was pretty awesome. Of course, this was a great game, as we always see from Dragon and Leela Chess Zero and all the engines as well. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And if you did, of course, then make sure you check the video right above me, and we'll see you on the next video.